Right now, an 18-wheeler weighing over 30,000 pounds is barreling down a quiet service road in Miami, Florida. The driver, a man named John Beeston, is not checking his mirrors. He's not slowing down for the intersection. He has his foot slammed against the floor and is aiming this massive steel monster directly at a target that is designed to be indestructible. In front of him are 4 layers of razor-sharp steel fencing. Behind those fences are armed guards in towers with shotguns trained on the perimeter. And behind them is the Everglades Correctional Institute, a fortress built to keep the worst of the worst away from society. Inside the prison yard, hundreds of inmates are enjoying a calm, sunny Saturday afternoon. They're playing cards, lifting weights, and talking to their families during visitation hours. They have no idea that in exactly 10 seconds, the world is going to explode. The man waiting for this truck is Jay Sigler. He is a career criminal, a robber, and an escape artist who has spent his entire life trying to get out of cages. But today, he isn't using a spoon to dig a tunnel, he isn't cutting bars with a piece of floss. He has decided that if you can't sneak out of a fortress, you have to knock the fortress down. The driver of the truck grips the wheel. He braces for impact. He hits the first fence at 40 miles per hour. The sound is not just a crash, it's a scream of tearing metal that drowns out every other noise in the prison. The truck smashes through the first barrier like it's made of paper, then the second, and then the third. Razor wire whips through the air like deadly snakes. Guards freeze, inmates scatter, dust and diesel smoke fill the air, blinding everyone. And out of that cloud of chaos, Jay Sigler is running. He isn't running away from the danger, he's running toward the truck. But here's the part that doesn't make sense. The person who organized this suicide mission, the person who made sure a semi-truck would smash into a state prison, isn't a cartel boss. It isn't even a gang leader. It's Jay Sigler's mother, a 58-year-old woman named Sandra. She's wearing a sensible outfit. She looks like she should be at a church bake sale. But right now, she is speeding toward the perimeter. She isn't alone. Records show there were 2, possibly 3 vehicles in the convoy that day. But it is Sandra who makes the move. She is behind the wheel of a gold Oldsmobile Cutlass. As the semi-truck smashes the final barrier, Sandra floors the gas. She drives the Oldsmobile directly into the breach, tucking her car right behind the massive truck. She follows its tire tracks exactly, using the semi-truck as a shield to crush the razor wire so it doesn't spring back and shred her tires. She's inside. This is not a story about a clever trick. This is a story about a mother's love so twisted and so desperate that she was willing to declare war on the entire state of Florida to get her baby back. And it's about to become the most violent, high-stakes chase in the history of the Sunshine State. To really understand why a grandmother is currently dodging shotgun fire in a prison yard, you have to look at the man she's trying to save. Jay Sigler is the kind of prisoner that wardens have nightmares about. By 1998, he is 31 years old, and he's already spent nearly half his life in the system. He is serving a 20-year sentence for armed robbery. But the thing about Jay is that he doesn't believe in sentences. He believes that stone walls are just suggestions. He has tried to escape before. In fact, he is obsessed with it. He spends his days analyzing the cracks in the system. He looks at a fence and doesn't see a barrier, he sees a math problem waiting to be solved. He looks at a guard and doesn't see authority, he sees a human being who can be distracted or manipulated. But the Everglades Correctional Institution is different. It was built in 1995 for $35 million. It is a state-of-the-art facility. That means it has pressure sensors buried in the ground that can detect footsteps, it has microwave motion detectors, it has towers with guards who are authorized to shoot to kill. It was designed specifically to keep men like Jay Sigler inside until they are old and gray. Jay knows he can't dig a tunnel here. The ground is too swampy. It would fill with water before he got 5 feet. He knows he can't cut the bars, they are reinforced steel. He needs something bigger, something louder. He realizes that if he can't sneak out, he has to break the prison itself. But he can't do it alone. He needs a team. And this is where the story gets twisted. Usually when a convict plans an escape, he calls his criminal buddies. He calls the gang. Jay calls his mom. Sandra Sigler is not a criminal mastermind. She's a mother. She lives a quiet, normal life. But over the years, watching her son wither away behind bars, something inside her snapped. Jay knows exactly how to push her buttons. He calls her collect. He whispers to her that he is dying in there. He tells her that he has enemies, that he won't survive another year. He manipulates her maternal instincts, twisting it until she's willing to do the unthinkable. For months, while sitting in the visitation room, they don't just talk about family gossip, they're planning a military-style assault. They use code words. The package is Jay. The delivery is the truck. The party is the escape. Sandra stops being a regular citizen and becomes the financier of a domestic terrorist operation. She empties her savings, she mortgages her future, she is the bankroll. She recruits a team. She brings in a man named John Beeston to be the muscle. He's the only one who will drive the truck, and she recruits an old friend of Jay's named Christopher Mickelson. Christopher Mickelson is a fascinating character in this tragedy. He had just been released from prison 10 days earlier. Think about that. He was free. He had done his time. He was eating real food and sleeping in a real bed, but he was so loyal to Jay, or perhaps so addicted to the adrenaline, that he agreed to break back in. He threw away his freedom for a friend. And there's one more accomplice, Kelly Mitchell, Jay's girlfriend. She's there for love, just like the mother. The plan they come up with is simple, violent, and incredibly dangerous. They aren't going to be subtle. They're going to use brute force. They calculate the exact spot on the fence line where the recreation yard is closest to the road. They time the guard shifts, and they map out the camera angles. It is April 11th, 1998, the day before Easter, Holy Saturday. Jay wakes up in his cell, he puts on his uniform, he walks out into the yard just like any other day. He nods to the guards, he starts walking laps around the basketball court. He's waiting for a signal. He checks his watch. It's almost 3 p.m. His heart is pounding against his ribs, but his face is stone cold. He looks at the fence. He knows that his mother is out there, and he knows that a 40-ton truck is currently revving its engine just out of sight. It's 3 p.m. The ground begins to shake. When the semi-truck hits the first fence, the sound is deafening. The inmates in the yard scream and scatter. Panic erupts. Dust clouds rise into the air, choking the sunlight. In the tower, the guard grabs his radio. He's shouting, but nobody can hear him over the noise of the engine roaring. The truck is unstoppable. It crushes the razor wire rolls, flattening them into the dirt. It smashes through the inner fence and comes to a screeching halt right in the middle of the yard. This is the meat of the moment, the sheer confusion. The guards are trained to stop men climbing out, not tanks coming in. They hesitate. Is it a runaway vehicle? Is it an attack? John Beeston kicks the truck door open. He steps out onto the running board and raises a sawed-off shotgun. He fires a round into the air. Boom. It's a warning. Stay back. Following the path of the truck, the gold Oldsmobile emerges from the dust cloud, having successfully crossed the flattened fence line. Sandra pulls up right next to the truck. This is it. The window of opportunity is 3 seconds. Jay Sigler doesn't hesitate. He's already running. He sprints across the yard, dodging stunned inmates. He dives into the backseat of his mother's car. Beeston jumps off the truck and dives into the passenger seat. The car is packed. The mother is at the wheel, the son is in the back, the girlfriend is squeezed in. Go, go, go. Sandra slams on the gas. The gold car spins around, kicking up dirt, and shoots back out through the same hole in the fence. The guards in the tower finally react, they grab their shotguns, and they start firing. Beeston returns fire from the car. Buckshot pings off the metal of the truck and the car, but the Oldsmobile is small and fast. It weaves through the wreckage, hits the asphalt of the service road, and accelerates. They're out of there. They have done the impossible. They have breached the Everglades fortress in broad daylight and vanished into the Florida swamps. But escaping the prison is only the beginning. Now comes the hunt. The state of Florida does not like to be embarrassed, and within minutes, the radio dispatchers are screaming. Every cop, every sheriff's deputy, every state trooper within 100 miles is mobilized. Code red, escape in progress, heavily armed, extremely dangerous. Jay knows they can't stay in the gold car. It's too conspicuous. Witnesses saw it. The license plate is already on the police scanners. The gold Oldsmobile is the most wanted vehicle in America right now. They drive frantically to a nearby shopping center. It's a bold move, hiding in plain sight. They pull into the parking lot to switch vehicles. Waiting for them is a black Saturn. This is where the team splits up. The plan is to get into the clean car and disappear. Jay Sigler and his friend Mickelson jump out of the Oldsmobile and dive into the black Saturn. They slam the doors and Mickelson hits the gas. They peel out of the parking lot, blending into the traffic. But for the rest of the team, the luck runs out right there. The police response is faster than they anticipated. Before Sandra, John Beeston, and Kelly Mitchell can get away, the lot is swarmed. Sirens scream from every direction. There is no high-speed chase for the mother. She's pulled out of the vehicle and handcuffed against the hot asphalt of the shopping center parking lot. The muscle, John Beeston, and the girlfriend, Kelly, are taken into custody immediately. And so the support crew is gone. Now it's just Jay Sigler and Christopher Mickelson, 2 men in a black Saturn, alone against the world. Jay is sitting in the passenger seat of the Saturn. He rips off his prison shirt. He's breathing hard. He's free, but he knows his mother has just been taken. For the first time in 8 years, he's not a number. He's a ghost. They drive north. They don't speed. They don't break traffic laws. They blend in with the Easter weekend traffic. They make it to a cheap motel in Lake Worth. This is the part that feels like a movie, but it is 100% real. Imagine this. Jay Sigler and Mickelson check into a motel room. They close the curtains, they open a beer, and they turn on the TV. They watch the news. Every channel is talking about them. The brazen escape, the truck attack. They see footage of the hole in the fence. They see the police chief giving a press conference, promising to catch them. Jay sits on the edge of the bed, watching his own masterpiece. He feels invincible. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's outsmarted the entire state of Florida. But he has made a fatal calculation. He thinks that the police are incompetent. He thinks that the trail is cold. He is wrong. The police have his mother, they have his girlfriend, they are tearing the state apart. They are interviewing everyone Jay has ever met, and they are tapping phones. While Jay is sleeping in that motel, the net is already tightening. The next morning is Sunday, April 12th, Easter Sunday. Jay and Mickelson wake up. The adrenaline has faded, replaced by a cold, hard paranoia. They know they can't stay at that motel. The clerk might recognize them. The maid might see a gun, so they have to keep moving. They decide to drive to Fort Lauderdale. Mickelson has family there. They need money. They need a new plan. They get back into the black Saturn. Mickelson is driving. Jay is in the passenger seat, a shotgun at his feet. The black Saturn is cruising down Ocean Boulevard in Pompano Beach. They are relaxed. They think that they're in the clear. Then, a police officer named Lou Wilson pulls onto the road behind them. Officer Wilson isn't even sure it's them. He's just patrolling. He sees 2 men in a black Saturn. He remembers a briefing about a black Saturn. It's a hunch, just a gut feeling. He decides to run the plate. He doesn't turn on his lights, he just follows them. In the Saturn, the mood changes instantly. "He's behind us," Mickelson says. His voice is tight. Jay looks into the side mirror. The cop car is right there, keeping pace. "Don't panic," Jay says. "Just drive normal." He doesn't know. But panic is a funny thing. It grows. It fills the car like smoke. The officer is still just following. He hasn't confirmed the plate yet, but Mickelson cranks. He can't take the pressure. He remembers the prison cell he's just left 10 days ago, and he remembers the walls. He decides he isn't going back. He slams on the gas. The engine roars, the tires screech, the Saturn shoots forward, weaving into the oncoming lane to pass a slow-moving van. The officer sees them run. Now he knows. He hits the sirens, and the chase is on. This is not a movie chase with empty streets. This is a crowded city on a Sunday afternoon. Mikkelsen is doing 80 miles per hour in a 30 zone. He's blowing through red lights. He's driving on the wrong side of the road. Jay is gripping the dashboard, watching the world just blur by. This wasn't part of the plan. The plan was stealth. Now they are a fireball of chaos moving through a residential neighborhood. They burst out of an alley back onto the main street, and this is the moment where the story turns from an action movie into a tragedy. At the intersection of Northeast 10th Street and 14th Avenue, a 55-year-old man named Dennis Palmer is driving his car. Dennis is not a criminal. He's not a guard. He's just a regular guy. He works as a condo manager. He's driving home to see his family. He has the green light, and so he enters the intersection. He never sees the black Saturn coming. Mikkelsen blows the stop sign at 80 miles per hour, and the impact is horrific. The Saturn T-bones Dennis Palmer's car with the force of a bomb. Metal screams. Glass shatters into a million diamonds. Both cars spin out of control, slamming into parked vehicles and coming to a steaming, crumpled halt against a concrete wall. Silence falls over the street. The police cars screech to a stop, boxing in the wreckage. Officers jump out with guns drawn, adrenaline pumping through their veins. "Show me your hands! Show me your hands!" they're yelling. But there's no movement from the black Saturn. Jay Sigler and Mikkelsen are dazed, bleeding, and trapped in the wreckage of their own making. The airbags have deployed, filling their car with white powder. They drag them out of the car. They throw them onto the hot asphalt. Jay Sigler looks up at the sky, and he sees the barrel of a police shotgun. Just a few feet away, paramedics are rushing to Dennis Palmer's car. They're trying to save him. They're cutting the metal. But it's too late. Dennis Palmer dies at the scene. The escape that began with a spectacular hole in a wall has ended with an innocent man dead in the street. The aftermath is swift and brutal. Jay Sigler's dream of freedom lasted less than 30 hours, but the punishment is going to last forever. With the rest of the crew already captured at the mall, the family vacation is officially over. Now comes the betrayal. Remember the mother? The woman who drove into a prison for her son? The woman who spent her life savings to free him? When the reality of the murder charge hits, when she realizes she is facing life in prison for the death of Dennis Palmer, she breaks. The bond between mother and son is strong, but the fear of dying in a concrete cell is stronger. In court, Sandra Sigler takes a plea deal. She agrees to testify against her own son. Imagine the scene at the courtroom. Jay Sigler is sitting at the defendant's table. He looks at the witness stand, and he sees his own mother. She points her finger at him. She tells the jury everything. She describes the planning, the guns, the map. She hands her son over to the state to save herself. It is the ultimate defeat. Jay Sigler is convicted of second-degree murder. The judge looks at him, this Houdini, this mastermind, and he doesn't see a genius. He sees a man who got an innocent person killed. He sentences Jay Sigler to life in prison. Christopher Mikkelsen, the friend who had been free for 10 days, is also sentenced to life. He traded 50 years of freedom for 30 hours of terror. But the story has one final dark irony. Jay didn't just lose his freedom. He lost the only thing he had left, his legend. In the end, the greatest escape in Florida history didn't make him a hero. It made him a cautionary tale. He is sent back to maximum security, but this time there are no basketball games in the yard, there are no sunny afternoons. He is placed in a cell where the walls are thick, the lights never turn on, and the world has forgotten him. The hole in the fence was repaired in a day. The life he took can never be replaced. If you enjoyed this Prison Break case, check out the channel. There you'll find many great stories just like this one. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'd be very grateful, and I'll catch you next time.